Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting expert interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs across our industry. Today, I'm joined by my friend Jordan Fisher. He's a California real estate investor, and he's also the managing partner of Inspire Capital Management. He's a lender. And Jordan is an expert rehabber in his space. In fact, a lot of people call on him to rely on his guidance for putting out a great product. And if you want to maximize your profits on your next rehab, you need to listen to this show. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today, is how to put out a great product and how to maximize profits on your next rehab deal. Before we get started with Jordan, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days with rates starting as low as 9%. For more information, call 888-296-1697 or visit realtymogul.com/flipnerd. B2R Finance makes loans tailored specifically for rental investors. They can help you unlock equity from existing properties so you can get cash out to grow your rental portfolio. That's huge, and it opens up lots of opportunities previously not available to rental investors. Need a rental loan? Call 855-819-4412 or visit b2rfinance.com. Virtual Staff Now is your source for done-for-you virtual assistants that specialize in helping you run your real estate investing business. They recruit, manage, and train VAs for you so you can focus on growing your business. Visit virtualstaffnow.com to learn more. We'd also like to thank Colony American Finance, National Real Estate Insurance Group, and Mid-Atlantic IRA. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Jordan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Great to see you, my friend. So it's interesting. We were talking a little bit before the show about some of the stuff that you've been up to, and for those that didn't listen, Jordan was on the show almost 200 episodes ago. So this is kind of a round two with Jordan. But we were talking about one of the things that you are an expert at, which is rehabbing, and it's interesting how many people think they're good at rehabbing, but they put a product out that just doesn't move, and people start to question why isn't this moving? Why isn't this moving? And they think it's everything but them or their product, right?
Yes.
And so I'm glad we're going to talk about this today. For as much as rehabbing has been a big part of my life, we really haven't talked to a lot of guests about rehabbing. It's tended to be a lot more about wholesaling and effective team management and using your IRA to invest and lots of other stuff. But we really haven't, if I think about all the topics and the importance of rehabbing, we really haven't spent a tremendous amount of time on shows talking about that. So I'm excited.
Oh, good. Me too. Good.
Yeah. So, before we get started, for those that don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about you, your background.
Yeah. Jordan Fisher. I'm in Pasadena, so Los Angeles market. We do things all over LA, Southern California, and also some things in other parts of the country. I've been in real estate investing since, I guess along when I was younger a little bit, but last full-time, certainly since, 2007. So I do have a flipping business. World, right? What's that?
You came out of the corporate world, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, big in corporate world, mostly advertising and brand strategy stuff.
Yeah. And
always loved real estate, been in real estate previously, and just my passion came back, and been loving it ever since.
Yeah. That's an interesting connection, to be kind of a brand guy that thinks about product and thinks about positioning and stuff like that, and then to be a rehabber, that doesn't sound like a stretch.
It really helps me a lot, to be honest, because I'm always thinking about positioning. Yeah. And leverage is like a big topic that we'll discuss today. Yeah. And that is really a big thing in terms of brands, in terms of gaining leverage or finding where a brand had leverage in the past and lost its way. That's what I used to do. The Converses of the world that were popular at one time and lost its way, to find a way to get it back with things that it already has that people really appreciate of it. The same thing with rehabbing a house. I just try to figure out what the brand has, what the house has, and then do things right to bring it to light.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting, I'm sure you're going to talk about this today, because I've rehabbed a couple hundred houses myself, and it wasn't intuitive to me early on that we used to. So what I'm saying is, it wasn't intuitive to treat houses differently based on who that customer might be. And so what happened was we tried to not rehab stuff that was like too far above the median price point because my contractors just weren't good at it. And then when we rehabbed something that was like, under a certain level, we just over rehabbed it every time. And it took me a while to kind of learn that I think a lot of new rehabbers go into a house and they start thinking about what they would like if they lived there, which has nothing to do with who might buy it, right?
True. Yeah, and there are lessons to be learned, definitely. But I think you always have to keep that buyer in mind. Not only like how much money they have, but in terms of like how they're going to buy the house, with cash, with a loan, conventional FHA. Like you really have to think about that because it should really dictate some of your decisions you make in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start talking about that in terms of how do you kind of profile a house to decide who that buyer might be? Like you said, sometimes it's like, what type is this a deal that would probably go FHA, right? Or is it something that is going to be a conventional loan? And those ultimately help you decide what you're going to do to the house, how you're going to price it at least, right?
Yeah, because it's more like reverse engineering. You know how like some of the best wholesalers I know, and I know you're one of them as well. You guys like reverse engineer. You think like, okay, who are my buyers? What kind of product they want, and then you find that product and just turn it over, and you have a home run when you turn it over, right?
Yeah.
It's the same way when you do a rehab. A lot of people don't do that. They just like find a deal, rehab it, and then see if they can sell it. They think they got a great product, and you got to really think about it the other way around. You got to like, if you're looking in a certain area or a certain price range, you have to think like, who are my buyers right? Who are my buyers? How are they going to buy this product in cash, with a loan, FHA, whatever they're going to buy it at, and like how much they can pay, and are they sophisticated? In this price range, is that a price range that like people like love to see great design, or like really not only appreciate it but like understand it, or they just like appreciate it because they're just would have no sense of design themselves but appreciate good design? Or like you have to understand that, because that will really, it doesn't mean your product is going to be poor. It doesn't mean your product's not going to look good or not look good. It just might mean about what kind of materials you might put in like in a kitchen or a bathroom, or what kind of extent you might go to like rehab a certain part of the yard or a certain part of the house, just so you don't, you spend your money more wisely.
Yeah. So kind of give some guidance on how you kind of think through that, and how you, is it based on purely kind of price point or part of town that it's in, or kind of talk about how you start to make those decisions?
Sure. Definitely price point's important, and you have to think about, number one, probably how people are going to, price point important. So how people are going to buy it. If it's like I'm in Los Angeles for an example, right? The average price in Los Angeles for a house, I think, is right around $450,000 now, right? And $450,000, you can get a conventional loan right at $419,000. So that's like a one loan product, usually a first time buyer in that price range. So if you're going to buy in that price range, let's say like $350,000 to $550,000, right? For example, just an example, in that price range, it's most likely going to be a first time buyer. They're most likely going to do one loan, right? It's most likely going to be a conventional loan. And you have to think about like, okay, what does that mean? They're going to be excited. You have to think about it. They're going to be excited. It's their first house. They're not going to be knowledgeable. This isn't someone who's already bought a house who has a realtor but says, I already bought a house. I know real estate. And so they're going to do certain things in their inspections and everything else because they've already bought one house and had problems or didn't and know what to do. That really impacts a lot of things. Then you got to think about the location, where it's at. Is this a location that is appreciating? Is it a location where people are very educated or not educated? Is there in this location, are a lot of the houses like rehabbed and well done, or is it all like outdated stock and people don't keep they don't pay attention to the detail or take care of the stock of the house?
Sure.
Like those things really impact what kind of things you might do to the house and how much you might spend.
Right.
Because I think I run into a lot of, because I run a fund too, so we fund a lot of fix and flippers, right? So I run into a lot of people who just because we look at a lot of deals they ask us to fund, who are just way overestimating what they think the house will sell for. And it's more they're not thinking about those things, like what kind of how are they going to buy the house and the location it's in. They're just not like paying attention to those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so some obvious examples give some examples of something on a first time home buyer house that you probably would never do because the person it's not like you're tricking them, like they never thought about this, so I'm going to sneak it past, but it's like, they don't care about it.
Yeah. And, and really, the realtor obviously is going to guide them a lot, right? Because it's a first time home buyer. Right. But chances are someone who's bought a second house or a third house, they're going to do all kinds of different inspections, for example. They might have a grading inspection. They might have a mold inspection. They might have an argon inspection. They might have, besides the normal like general inspection, they have a chimney inspection, like all these different things because they've had problems in the past with other houses with these problems, right?
Right.
But a first-time home buyer probably won't know that, and a realtor will probably say, yeah, I'll give you my general inspector. I don't have a chimney, I don't have all this stuff.
Right.
And do that. So you have to just understand what they're going to be looking for.
Yeah.
And understand also what they're like willing to pay and how much money they might have on the sidelines. Sorry, that is one other thing too I didn't mention. Really important. How much money these buyers might have on the sidelines to pay for things if the appraisal doesn't, right? Appraisal doesn't come through. Or if there's a per diem and they're taking too long to close, can they pay that penalty every day it goes on? Or are they going to say, hey, it's been 45 days, we're out of money, we can't even pay the penalty. You want us to close or go away?
Right.
Like you have to think about those things ahead of time. And if you do, then you're kind of reverse engineering, like we said, and you're going to keep your leverage, is what I say. You're going to keep your leverage all the way through from start to finish.
Yep. Yeah, in my experience, it took a while to kind of learn this, but for example, we would have a tendency to not replace in a first-time home buyer home, like entry level, like maybe a little bit below the median price point even. We would have a tendency to, like, for example, not replace windows because the person doesn't care about efficiency and nice new windows that are easier to clean. They would rather have granite in the kitchen, for example. And so we would kind of make some of those trade-offs based on what we thought that person might care about. Like, they don't really care about energy efficiency as much as a nice, kind of clean remodel, for example.
Right. Yeah. And we talked about this before the show, and I think too, we do sell a little bit to different markets, right? And sometimes you're selling things where there's like an added value still there. There's like equity in the house, right? And I do a lot of things where I'm trying to sell to like I'm selling more than market price. Yeah. I'm selling to the absolute top price and quickly.
Right.
So for that, we might do, like, I totally understand the trade-offs you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just, in my market, a lot of things that we do, we just choose to do for that retail, like as much as possible. So we are like doing everything in the house. So we don't leave like one stone unturned.
Yeah.
I like to have leverage. What I like to say is I don't like to give a buyer a bat to hit me over the head with. What I mean by that is I don't like to have them walk in the house and see something unfinished. Even if it's just like, oh, you know what, the caulking, they forgot to put the caulking, where two pieces of marble or two pieces of granite or quartz meet. Right. Or they forgot, you know what, the light switch is just like a little bit this way instead of like straight. I know it's something simple. It's not like you couldn't fix that in 1 second. It's that you just like you might as well just put like a bat on the table in the bathroom or a bat in the front door leaning against the door and say, here, pick this up and hit me over the head with. Because that's what they're going to do. And you're going to lose your leverage. They're going to go, bam, Jordan. Like, why wasn't that done? Like it's not that you couldn't fix it. And you can't just say, oh, no big deal. Just put that in the contract. We'll fix it. Because I'm also a broker and I sell a lot of houses for other investors.
Yep.
So what I find often is I will walk into a rehab house and I will look at all these unfinished things. And what I'm seeing is bats on the table. And what I'm thinking is, you know what? I'm going to sell this house and all these buyers are going to come back with me and want to hit me over the head with. And that when I go to the investor and say, look, why don't you fix that or fix that now before we get involved? They say, you know what? If they want to fix the buyer, just have them put it in the contract. I'm not spending any more money until they ask for it in a request for repairs. So you know what? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. You know why? Because people won't even put an offer on the house. If they see a light switch turn like this, it just like triggers a cycle in their mind to say, well, what else is wrong in this house?
That I can't see.
I came in this house, excited about the price, excited about the pictures, and I walked in and I saw this light switch turn this way, and I know like what is behind these walls. If you didn't pay attention to that detail, what else am I not seeing?
Right.
All of a sudden, it goes from positive to negative, and they start seeing every little thing wrong in the house that might be there. You can't fix every little thing, and it's a bad cycle, and you lose all your leverage.
Yeah.
I like it's a seesaw, and I like to stay on the top of the seesaw at all times from start to finish. This is from when you do the product. I try to teach investors when you do the product is of quality, it's a great product, and you keep it all the way through the loan, through the escrow, through the recording until it is confirmed. You keep that leverage the whole time.
Yeah.
And little things that get in the way of like light switches or like just in terms of what you say or how you sell it or how you deliver the final product, how you price it when you have open house, all that stuff, it makes a difference in your seesaw like coming down like this. And it's tough to get it back up.
Yep.
So
and given that you're in LA, you're in a higher price market, relatively speaking. And so how's that differ with FHA type deals? Because I know you're trying to get premium pricing. And of course, when you try to do that on an FHA deal, and if something doesn't appraise, you can get screwed pretty quickly.
You can, and obviously, if you don't have to sell to an FHA buyer, I'm not a proponent of it.
You prefer not to,
because it's mostly because if something wrong happens in the escrow, or if the escrow goes past 30 days and you have a penalty in your counter that says the buyer is to pay a penalty for every day it goes over, those buyers typically don't have funds, or the appraisal doesn't come through, right? Those buyers don't have the funds. That's why they're taking an FHA loan. That's why they're paying the PMI and everything else. They don't have the funds to make it up. And then you're lose your leverage all of a sudden. You've waited 30 days, 40 days, you have a buyer on contract ready to go, and they have problems.
Yeah.
And so you start all over. But if you do have an FHA buyer, there are certain things you can do still to like make sure you keep the leverage all the way through. And these things work really in any market. It's just about, you still got to deliver a good product.
Right.
And if you know it's an FHA buyer, that means you know you're going to have FHA needs certain things done in the house to make sure they're done, right? Because they're going to be much more critical on the inspections. You may have 2 general inspections or 2 appraisals. So you just have to understand that and know what to do ahead of time. Because the worst thing to do is be caught like, which most investors are, they're calling me, they're like, oh my God, they're doing another appraisal? I'm like, well, what did you expect? I mean, this area is all FHA loans. They have to do 2 appraisals. You're selling it like in 60 days from when you bought it. All these things are like known things. It's not like, it's like Christmas happens every year. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
It was a holiday on the calendar. Like, it's already there. It's nothing new. So don't be surprised. You got to think about these things ahead of time so you can be proactive and put things in contracts ahead of time. So when they do come up, you have leverage rather than like you caught off guard.
Yeah. Yeah. Give some tips on that. Talk about some of the things that you get hit with if you're using an FHA buyer that you need to kind of plan for.
Things like, we don't do a lot with FHA buyers, but I can tell you the things. I do help a lot of other people. Certainly, like 2 appraisals, right? Second appraisal. Certainly things like FHA buyer, FHA inspectors, if it's an inspection for an FHA loan. Things need to be buttoned up. Just know this, just keep things simple. Things need to be buttoned up in the house. You can't be like doing things half-ass. Everything has to be finished. Everything has to be clean. Everything has to be as it should. You can't have, you just can't have like missing things that are like, well, big deal. Have them ask for that in a request for repairs, or have them ask for that in a closing cost credit. You just can't. By the way, an FHA buyer almost always going to ask for closing cost credit, right? Because they need the closing costs to help them close. So when you're selling the property for whatever, 200, 300, 400,000, all of a sudden the request for repairs they want a 3% closing cost credit. You're like, well, it's not really 400,000 or 300,000, it's 3% less. Right. And you're like, well, can I counter that out? And you say, oh, no, we're not giving a closing cost credit. And the buyer goes away. Why? Well, because they need it because they can't afford to close otherwise.
Right.
So you just need to like figure these things in to your numbers to make sure you're going to be profitable and you're not stressed out. I tell investors all the time, you know this, Mike. Rehab, it's a lot of mind space, right? There may be a lot of money in it, but it's a lot of like mind space, a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of timing involved to get all the moving parts working, and the time when you borrow money to closing is very expensive. So you really have to think about things ahead of time so you don't have these problems. The worst thing you can do is get a house, and while you're doing the rehab, while you're spending so much energy and time and money like trying to get things done, is worry about, am I going to make money on this property? God, is that like stressful?
Yeah,
you don't want to be there. You already know money is there. It's just about how much money, and you should be pretty sure about how much money you're going to make. It should only be a bonus when you sell for a lot more than you thought you would. It's a very good way to be conservative on your ARV, your after repaired value, what you think it's going to sell for. Be very conservative, and so when it sells for more, it's just like a home run.
It's just great,
Like estimating so high and like being like, oh my God, I don't know if we can make, we got to sell for this so we don't make any money. That's a terrible place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, so what are some other things you want to talk about in terms of kind of how to maximize your profit on deals?
A few things. I would say when you buy the house, number one is like be conservative, as I said, in your after repaired value. What you think you can sell it for, and the time you think it's going to take this from starting to sale.
Yep.
Some people think, oh, I'll do this in like 3 weeks and sell it in like a month and a half. You might. You might. But I wouldn't use that as for the basis of your numbers, right? So be conservative in your after repaired values and how long you think it's going to sell, right? How long you're going to take the money out, how long it's going to from when you buy it to when you sell it. Number two, deliver a quality product. I run into a lot of investors who I walk in the house. I was just in one last month in my area where I walked in. I was like, oh, this house is done okay. And I looked in the kitchen and there were no appliances, 0. Now, I talked to the investor and I said, what happened to the appliances? They being delivered? Because I was about to list the house. And they said, oh, no, if the buyer wants them, if it's an absolute mandatory condition of the purchase, have them put it in the contract and ask for appliances. And I was like, you know what? This is the reason why, number one, when you don't put appliances in, it looks like it's a flip product. I always say, don't make a house look like it's a flip product. Because then people know it's flipped and it's relative. They know you bought it for one recently at one amount and you're selling it for a lot more. Now, I know that when people walk into a rehab house, it's not that it's pretty obvious it's been rehabbed. You don't have to hide that. It's just you don't want to make it obvious that you just bought it and now you're just selling it.
Right.
Because then it looks like you probably maybe cut corners, didn't do things as well as they should, moved so fast and going to make money while this person is overpaying for the property.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I walked into a house and I looked around, I was like, and there are no appliances. And I said, people aren't even going to make an offer on this house because there's no appliances. They said, well, let the person choose the appliances. The wife's going to come in and want her own appliances anyway. I have no business choosing them. So you know what? That's the dumbest thing. Yeah. Put in appliances. If it's a market with stainless steel appliances, put them in a location and price range. Put them in. Maybe you don't have to put a refrigerator in because the wife will generally choose the refrigerator.
Yeah.
But definitely have an oven in there. maybe a microwave, right?
Yeah.
Range, right? Put those in a dishwasher, put those in there. So at least the product looks finished and like ready to go. Because otherwise, this is, again, it doesn't look finished. And you just put like a bat, Louisville Slugger on the kitchen table. And I guarantee you they're going to hit me over the head with. That's the first question. Where's the appliances? When I have to answer that, I have to, you're losing your leverage on the seesaw.
Yeah.
So when you start a project, make sure it's finished correctly. I run into people who I look at the front yard and it's not done. They say, well, I already ran out of money. I spent my budget. And so we did everything, but we're not doing the front yard because I ran out of money.
Right. That's
you know what? It's not going to sell. Now it's going to sit on the market. And, you got to, no matter when you start a house, you got to finish. Yes, it may be over budget. Guess what? You got to finish. Because the key is it's not over till it sells. And your pain is not over till it sells, right? Yep. So if you're spending too much money and you're not going to make as much money as you should, or hopefully you're not going to lose money, but hopefully if that's the case and it's just the numbers are getting high, finish the house in a way that will sell the house quickly without giving buyers bats to hit you over the head with.
Yeah, and save yourself some holding costs. It's interesting that you say that because we had a time, it was very rare for somebody to come into our office and ever that we were selling a house to. And this was just kind of a random, I can't remember exactly what happened, but the buyers came in to drop something off in our office, an option fee or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't there. And they started talking to our office manager and said, oh, can we see the pictures before you rehabbed it? And she's like, oh, sure. And she like pulled them up, which we're pretty buttoned up. When we buy a house, we're like, we have a bunch of Dropbox folders, before pictures, closing docs, contracts, like,
sure.
We have everything totally organized. And they were just I mean, they still ended up buying the house, but they were just horrified at it. And a lot of times when we buy houses, we buy some pretty rough houses, and it's just that they're way outdated. The people might have been hoarders or slobs or who knows.
Yes.
And they see like around the washer boxes in the laundry room, there's a bunch of mildew or something because something was leaking or whatever.
Right.
Stuff that it's just like, hey, you can make that go away, pretty easily. But when people see that nice new looking house, they want to assume it was always a beautiful home like that, which isn't always the case. But I understand what you're saying.
It's a really good example. When you're eating a steak, you don't want to show someone the cow that it came from, right?
Yeah.
Here's the cow.
You don't want to watch a slaughterhouse video while you're eating your steak.
And then now look at the steak on your table.
Yeah.
It's like relative. Let me ask. A lot of people do things in a transaction from start to finish, from when they start the product to when they sell it, that put a hurdle in their way. They don't think about what they think about is, I'm just like giving information. I have all this information. I'm very proud of the product I did, so I want to share. Oh yeah, we did that and we did that. Look what it was before. Now look. You don't want to put hurdles in your way to get you a pat on the back. A lot of people will take a pat on the back and say, oh, here's the pictures of the, didn't we do a good job? And you know what? I'm willing, and I tell investors all the time, and realtors too, give up any pats on the back, any kind of accolade until after the recording is confirmed. At that point, after you've sold it and you record confirming you no longer own the house, you can take all the pats on the back you want. Yeah. But until then, give up all the pats on the back to maintain your point on the seesaw. Give it up. I don't care if it's easy for you, if it feels good, give it up completely and just keep your position on the seesaw until it's recorded. After that point, you can do anything you want.
All right.
But not until then.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool, man. So what are some things that you see people do that we haven't talked about yet that you would say are mistakes, that where they're kind of they're missing out on some profit potential, missing out on some leverage, some of those things?
Definitely. A lot of people, what's his name? Robert Kiyosaki always said, like, you make money when you buy the house, right? And a lot of people use that and say, well, I make money on the buy. Well, it is true. Certainly you make money at the price you buy it at. That's really important. Yeah. But the other half is you make money when you sell it. There's a lot of time and wasted profit and wasted headache and repairs and like contract and legalese that goes involved because people don't pay attention as much to the sell side as the buy side.
Yeah.
And the sell side is so important. A lot of people price properties wrong. They show them wrong. They list them wrong. They have open houses wrong. They just do everything in a way that they feel like, well, what do you mean I didn't do it wrong? That's the way that things are done. When a realtor has a house, they list it on the MLS and they have an open house or broker's open and we put a lockbox on it and show it. And what do you mean? That's not wrong. That's the way everyone does it. What do you mean? Say, well, why do you think that's correct? Just because everyone does it that way, that doesn't mean it's correct. You're taking your leverage and what everyone else does is like this. You're being like this and you're losing all your leverage. In order to maintain leverage way up here on the seesaw, you've got to do things a lot differently. And so a lot of people will, again, do all those things wrong. Like a good example, when you said pictures of an old house, a lot of people I see, this is very common. When they do a rehab of a house, they're so proud of it. You look on the MLS and there's like 35 pictures. like 35 pictures. I guarantee you, your buyers are not going to like all 35 pictures, right? Why don't you just show, why don't you just show the front of the house, the back of the house, one bedroom that's staged, a kitchen, a living room, and maybe both bathrooms, and be done. Why? You know why? Because those are like the meat and potatoes that will get people in. You want to whet their appetite, but not satisfy them.
Right,
you just want them to come to the house because they're never going to make an offer until they step foot in the house. So I always say, do everything to get people to step foot in the house as soon as humanly possible. That means pricing is really important. That means the pictures you show, whetting their appetite, but not giving them the full picture. That means how you describe it and making it very tantalizing, but not everything to get them to come.
Yeah.
Like all kinds of things. You got to get people in the house before you can have a conversation about selling it, because you're not really talking about numbers or selling the house until someone says, I've been to the house, I saw it, and I loved it. What's going to take for me to buy it? Or here's my offer. I don't care what number it is. I want to reserve my seat at the table so I have a chance to buy it. At that point, then I can go, okay, now we have something to talk about. But until then, I have nothing to talk about. Who cares if I have a beautiful rehabbed house? Who cares if it's the only rehabbed house and it's the only house for sale in this neighborhood that everyone wants? You know what? I still don't have any leverage until I get people to the house, they look at it, like it, and send me an offer. Then I can say, I'll take yours, but not yours.
Yeah.
And let me talk to you, but not you. At that point, I have a lot of leverage. But until then, I have zero. And a lot of people think they have leverage when they do a house. And you don't have leverage until you do all these things to put you at the top. So I try to, again, it's more like leverage for me, because if you don't have leverage, that's when you get beaten up. I don't like to get beaten up with bats.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting. I've never done this before. I guess it's such a hot seller's market right now that this kind of makes sense. So it's interesting when I see it. So in the neighborhood I live in, which I haven't done very many houses in, a little bit of a nicer neighborhood than I typically do houses in. But I've seen a lot of houses now, before they actually put them on the market, they're putting the coming soon sign out, which for a long time I was like, the houses sell like that. Why do they have to say they're coming soon? Just kind of sell it. But from a leverage standpoint of what you're saying, I think probably what happens is they start to get contacted and people are fearful that, well, once they do list it, I'm not going to get it. So they're probably willing to, maybe offer more, maybe negotiate less repairs and stuff, because they're fearful that this house is kind of like pre-market and that's the only chance I'm going to get. I mean, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not a bad strategy, but I would just change it a little bit. A better strategy, instead of coming soon, is actually is not announce it, but once you put it on the market, don't show it. This is what I do a lot. I always teach people, once you put it on the market with great pictures, great description, no one can see it for a week. Why? When you put coming soon on, no one can see it, but they don't know when it's ready. They might see it when it's not finished. They might stop by, which is not a good thing. When you put on the market and you say, okay, here's this great product and it looks great, and people say, great, let me make an offer, and you say, oh no, you know what? There isn't any showings until next week. And they go, yeah, but what do you mean we want to make an offer today? Well, come next week. It's from 2 to 4 on Saturday. A lot of people will be there. I suggest you come then. Yeah, but my buyer is out of town. They won't be able to come. Well, then I suggest you come because, with the price, what it's at, and you can see the pictures, it looks like it's going to be a hot property. Do what you can to make it there.
Yeah.
What you do is you create a lot of pent-up demand, which is different than a coming soon, because it's already on the market, and you frustrate them without being personal. Yeah. It's just not ready for a week. So they're like, I want to see it. And you're like, I'm sorry, it's just not the first showing is next Saturday. Come then. Hey, come then. It'd be great.
That's awesome.
I like to create a lot of pent-up demand and everyone at the house at one time for like a 2-hour period. That way everyone can see it at the same time. That way they see what's going on. They go, wow. So when they come and ask me like, hey, Jordan, what's going to take for me to get this property? I don't have to be personal because I don't like being personal real estate transaction. I just say, look, you can see what I see. There's 100 people here. Obviously a hot house. People seem to love it. The price is low. I would make the best offer you can.
Yeah, create a little bit of a frenzy.
Some people counter, not everybody.
Create a little bit of a frenzy.
Yeah, I love to do things like that. I love the selling side. But I think a lot of rehabbers just focus on the buy and the rehab side, and they forget that the sales side has got so much power. They leave a lot of money on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I mean, for as many houses as we've rehabbed, I would say absolutely. When the rehab was done, we would hand it over to whoever's going to list it, and we're kind of out. Just let us know what happens.
Right.
But
a lot of investors do that. What they do is they get houses from agents, right? And they say, hey, if you give me the house, I'll let you sell it on the sell side, right, after I rehab it. And while that makes a lot of sense maybe in getting inventory, I don't think it's a good idea to just relinquish control.
Yeah.
You may want to pay that person off to get out of the way, or just do what you say, whatever, so you can control the side. But I think if you're not controlling the sell side or working with someone who really understands that well, not a normal agent, someone who understands it well, I think you're looking for problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, any kind of final words of wisdom you want to share on rehabbing of kind of tips or advice?
Just like, I think people, they don't understand on the private money side. Private money is a big part of rehabbing, right? Whether you're getting it from an individual or a fund or some other hardware, whatever it is, it's a big part, and it's usually it ends up being about a quarter to a third of profit. It just is. And a lot of people don't really think about how much that would be, because they always think they're going to finish in a smaller amount of time, and they're going to sell for a lot more than they do, because they're just very optimistic and excited. And I think the more you just look at that part of the equation and understand private money is really there to help you, but you really got to know your numbers. Private money can only do so much. And I think that's an important point that I would just make sure you're really fine tuning that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I think about, I've personally, of all the deals I've done, I've never actually used traditional hard money. I've always had access to bank money at a better rate, or friend and family type money. And so I've been blessed in that regard. But I know, there's a lot of truth in capital that constrains you, that holds you back from doing less deals. So I think a lot of people get hung up on, well, I'm paying so much money to my lender. It's like, yeah, but it's enabling you to do potentially almost an unlimited number of deals. Capital is not your constraint now. So if you look at it from a volume perspective, how you can, even if you have some money, how you can leverage that up to do many more deals, right?
Yeah, and look at all those partners, whether it's a title, escrow, or even your private money person, as you're just bringing another person on your team who doesn't just provide money. Maybe they can help you, give you just a second pair of eyes.
Yeah.
What do the rehab? Are you selling it for the right price? You've got a whole team who's interested in your success.
Yeah.
So you got to look at those. I think people just look and they get money and they think, oh, they get escrow, and they just think, okay, they do their job and it's my thing. Yep. If you got a whole team of people, you should use that team. It's only going to benefit everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you pick the right lender. And I know this is how you are, just from our conversations in the past, of you really get involved, just like your experience with selling homes, is you really try to be an advisor to that person too about how to maximize their profit. Because one, I know you enjoy it, but two, it helps ensure that you're going to get your bait back, right?
Yes. The private money, whether it's individual like you've had or a fund, they make a lot more money the quicker the money comes back, not the longer it's out. I think there's a misconception of people like the mob breaking bones and stuff. It's when a private money, either an individual or a fund or something like that, they make a lot more money the more it turns. The more they can lend it out and it comes back, lend it out and it comes back. Not letting it out for a longer period of time, you having trouble and you're paying interest and struggling, and they're just happy because it's not coming back. No, they make more money when the cycle
turn it a lot more. Yeah.
So they're interested in your success. So I think a lot of people forget that and think God, I have to pay this private money every month. And this is where that's pain. When they have to turn the pain, they're like, how can that person help me? They actually have an interest in me, selling this property.
Right.
So if you think about it like that, I think you can find a lot of resources maybe you didn't think you had access to.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Jordan, if folks want to learn more about you, what you got going on, or how do they get a hold of you? Where do they go?
They can probably email me. Having a site, Inspire My Capital. InspireMyCapital.com, or you can reach out to me at Jordan, Jordan, at Inspire My Capital. That's probably the best way. InspireMyCapital.com. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And I'll be happy to answer your questions. I do like to help. We do a lot of looking at deals. We do that all day. People send us deals to look at, and we just give them our honest opinion. And it's not just yes, we can do this, or no, it's not going to work. We often say well, it looks tight. What do what's the scope of your rehab? Why do you think you're doing that in that market? That looks like you're underestimating or overestimating. We're trying to help because it's a team. Real estate investing is not a single person entity. I don't think the more you have a team and think about it like that, the more successful you'll be.
Yeah. Awesome. Jordan, thanks for joining us today, my friend. Good to see you.
Oh, you too, Mike. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Really all right. I'll take care. I'll talk to you again soon. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.